Lave's Faves of 2018. Hello internet, my name is Lave and I hope you had a good Christmas and holiday break. 2018 is drawing to a close, so now it's time to talk about my favourite and least favourite movies of the year. I've already done my least favourite movies list. I'll put links up here down in the description, and like before, there are some ground rules before I start. Firstly, the films have to have been released in the UK in 2018. I saw a couple of films at preview screenings and at film festivals which do not qualify. I also have to have reviewed the film, so like there are some films which I have seen but I haven't had the time to review, like BlacKkKlansman, A Star Is Born and Widows. All good films, I haven't reviewed them, so they don't qualify. They are out of here. Of course, there are other films which I haven't seen. If you're wondering why these aren't on the list, it's because I haven't seen them. And as before, these films that have made the list objectively may not be the best films. They're my personal choice, so let's get on with this.
Number 10.
My number 10 choice is A Quiet Place, which was directed by John Krasinski, who also stars in the film alongside his wife Emily Blunt, who are part of a family living in a post-apocalyptic world being invaded by these things who hunt by sound, so they have to live in complete silence, and the film completely commits to that concept throughout the entire film. In terms of cinematic experience, this was extremely unique when everyone in the audience is literally holding their breath and trying to keep silent themselves. You know the film is onto a good thing, and that's why it's my number 10.
Number 9.
Coming in at number 9, I'm actually going to cheat here and put two films in because I couldn't decide between the two of them. The first one is Hereditary, the other one is First Reformed. They're completely different films, but they do share a similar theme in that you question the sanity of the characters at the centre of the film. Now, I'm not going to say which one is which, but one of them does stay ambiguous and is open to interpretation, while the other one, I think, does reveal all by the end, but then the one that does reveal all, I think, does have slightly better production values. I think they're both great films and I couldn't decide between the two. That's why I'm putting them both in at number 9, Hereditary and First Reformed.
Number 8.
My number 8 choice is a lovely, wonderful film. It's Wes Anderson's Isle of Dogs, which is actually his second feature-length animated feature, following on from Fantastic Mr. Fox. I do prefer Isle of Dogs to Fantastic Mr. Fox. I actually think it's in contention to being one of my favourite Wes Anderson films, period, regardless of it being an animation or live action. It's so charming, it's full of his trademark style and cliches. It's got a great sense of humour. It's wonderful. If you love dogs, then go and check it out.
Number 7.
Coming in at number 7 is Paul Thomas Anderson's Phantom Thread. We do tend to get films a little bit later over here in the UK. I think this officially got released in 2017 in the US. We got it in February or March 2018 and it was well worth the wait. If you're not a big fan of Paul Thomas Anderson films, I still urge you to go and watch this film. It's much more accessible than his other films like The Master or There Will Be Blood, and it's rumoured to be Daniel Day-Lewis's last film. If it is, he's going out on a complete high note. While I'm speaking of retiring actors, Robert Redford is supposedly retiring after his film The Old Man and the Gun, which I saw and is wonderful. But yeah, sticking to the point, Phantom Thread, number 7.
Number 6.
Coming in at number 6, it's been quite a quiet year for existential sci-fi films, all apart from Alex Garland's Annihilation. It's somehow scary and beautiful, exciting but also thought-provoking, and if you follow me on YouTube you will know that I love those types of films, like proper grown-up sci-fi. The only disappointing thing about this film was that it didn't get a general release over here in Europe because we're not smart enough, apparently, which is kind of insulting, but still, terrific movie. It might have got even higher on my list if it had been released in the cinema. But it didn't. I had to watch it on my own home theatre, which is never as good, but still, fantastic movie.
Number 5.
My number 5 choice is a film that I've been raving about ever since I saw it in 2017 at London Film Festival, and I think this one has gone under a lot of people's radar. That is Lynn Ramsey's You Will Never Really Hear, which stars Joaquin Phoenix as this war vet anti-hero who gets hired to go and save this kidnapped girl. It's so much more than that. This film stayed with me for weeks after I saw it. I don't want to spoil it. I think the less you know about the film, the better. If you can seek this one out, I implore you to do so. It's a brutal film. It's like a hammer to the head. Check it out. It's awesome.
Number 4.
My number 4 spot was a close run thing. There were a couple of films that I was considering for this spot. I will mention those in an honourable mention at the end of this video. Ultimately, it went to Thoroughbreds, which is a directorial debut from Corey Finley. It's about two girls who rekindle their friendship after some time apart. It's got two of the brightest rising stars in Olivia Cooke and Anya Taylor-Joy. But the real star of the show here is the writer and director Corey Finley. I can't believe this is his directorial debut. His control over his craft is amazing. I think he's one to watch in the future. I cannot wait to see what he does next. Thoroughbreds is number 4.
Number 3.
Okay, so getting interesting now. A lot of the films that I've already mentioned are quite dark, often psychological thrillers, so it's nice to talk about a film which was just pure fun and entertainment. And that is Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse, which was a complete surprise for me. The trailers did look cool in terms of its animation and style, which it is on the big screen. It's mind-bogglingly great and awesome, but also what really surprised me was how well the guys over at Sony treated their characters and the story. I really cared about Miles Morales and his family and Peter Parker, or Peter B. Parker as he's known in this. They did such a fantastic job. I loved this one. I was buzzing when I walked out of the cinema. A complete surprise and absolutely deserves my number 3 spot.
Number 2.
My number 2 choice is another comic book movie, and that is Aquaman. Only joking, it's Avengers Infinity War. Sorry DC fanboys, but Marvel wins again. If Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was a surprise, then I was expecting Avengers Infinity War to deliver something big, bold and amazing, and it delivered, met and surpassed my expectations. It's what cinema is all about for me, just pure popcorn fun. I dreamed about watching films like this since a kid, since I watched cartoons like the X-Men and the 90s animated Spider-Man cartoons with huge rosters of characters, and now we're seeing it on the silver screen. It's remarkable to see this huge roster of characters which have been developed over 10 years, all working together in one film, which is ultimately about the villain. And that's amazing to me, and that's why it's my number 2.
Number 1.
So here we are. My favourite film of the year goes to Damien Chazelle's biopic about Neil Armstrong, the first man to walk on the moon. This film delivered everything that I wanted it to deliver. It was the most immersive cinema experience I had this year. It felt like I was in the cockpit. It felt like I went to the moon and walked on it. But at the same time, it was an extremely heartfelt character study. Now, on that note, there is something about this film which has sparked a lot of debate. A lot of people question whether this certain scene actually happened. I don't want to spoil it in case people haven't seen it, but I do want to point out that this film hasn't been Hollywoodized by the director and the film writers. It's based off a book by Jim Henson, who came up with this idea based on his research, and it might actually be true. And the fact that other Apollo astronauts have done something similar, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. But as on an emotional level, it really worked for me. When I was watching the film, I didn't care about that. When it happened, it hit me right in the chest. I was like, oh man, that's amazing. And that's why it's my number 1 film of the year. First Man. So that's my top 10 favourite films of the year. Obviously, I haven't seen everything. There are probably some films which I should have seen, but you know, I've got work and other commitments. I want to give a couple of honourable mentions to Searching, which I thought was fantastic. American Animals was another really interesting, unique film, alongside Assassination Nation. I thought A Simple Favour was good as well. I'm not quite convinced on that. But also films like Creed 2. I love boxing films, and Sylvester Stallone is my hero. I thought that was fantastic. And this is also a year that Guillermo del Toro's A Shape of Water came out. So overall, a really good year for films, I think. I think it's been a good year for 2018. I was hoping to hit 3,000 subscribers by the end of this year. I've just gone past 3,500. So thank you so much to all of you who watch my videos and subscribe. I really do appreciate it. I look forward to having a really good, fantastic 2019 with you. As always, thanks very much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you can, give it a like and don't forget to share the Lave. Subscribe.